should have contributed something to the center table. You're writing down the 2 learning targets. These are brand new learning targets, building off of the work that we've been doing. Thanks, Marlon.
I'm scared.
Can someone please read the first learning target?
I can identify a symbol and when the tree stops giving fruit, determine what it means, and cite textual evidence in my interpretation.
Okay, very good. So this is already done for us last class, but what are the important words or phrases in our learning target?
Identify a symbol.
Identify symbol, that's something we've been working on. So we're going to continue to work on identifying symbols. Okay. But what else are we going to do? Aside from identifying it, we're also going to find the meaning. That's the tricky part. It's not so hard to identify a symbol, figure out if something is a symbol, but it's pretty difficult to determine exactly what a symbol means or what it represents. And not only that, but also to cite evidence of that interpretation. That's getting into some harder stuff. We're going to be working on that today. All right, who can read the second learning target, please? Yes. What's the second learning target? Anyone read it out loud?
I can define theme and differentiate.
Differentiate. Differentiate.
Differentiate between the main idea and the theme in the literary text.
Okay, good. Does anyone know what that word means? Differentiate.
Nice. You're right. So difference.
Exactly. Find the difference between 2 things. So how many people here have heard of the word theme before? Okay. I feel like maybe more than that, but some of you have heard the word theme. We haven't really talked about what theme means when we talk about literature or in the literary sense. So we're going to use that essay by Shaka Senghor to talk about not only symbolism, but how symbolism relates to this thing called theme. Okay? We started to talk about that last class, but it's new and you're learning, I'm learning, and I can do a better job of explaining it, go into more detail with it to you today. Okay? What questions do you guys have about the 2 learning targets?
Can you just define what theme
Can I define what theme is?
and literature?
Sure, yeah. So, and we're going to talk about that today, actually, with, there's some questions we're going to talk about with the essay. So can you wait till we get there, and I promise I'll explain it? Okay, thanks. Okay, I saw a lot of people participating and writing up on these 2 posters, which was awesome. You guys are doing really well. I see a lot of great ideas, and you're on the right track with symbolism. Well, let's just do a quick review to make sure everyone's on the same page, because this is going to be relevant to continuing our conversation about the essay, when the trees stop giving fruit. So what is symbolism? What are some of the things you guys wrote up there, or maybe new ideas off the top of your head? What's symbolism?
Representation.
Okay, representation is huge. It's a key word. I wrote that. Can anyone add anything? Good. You say that, Melinda? Okay, perfect. Really good. Something that means something else. What were you going to say, King? Oh, who said, was that you? I thought someone said something. Okay, can a symbol just be any random thing that stands for any other random thing? Like, could this table be a symbol for this pack of markers? Or could this table be a symbol of grass? Or, that sounds weird, right? A symbol is something that stands for something, exactly, there's one word, something bigger than itself. Okay, when we think of symbolism, we want to think of abstract ideas. You guys remember what abstract ideas are? Or can anyone think of an example of an abstract idea?
Random. Creative.
Creativity could be something like success, or something like education, or wealth. You see how those things aren't tangible things that I could just pick up and hold. They're really like big ideas that are hard to define, hard to fully understand without maybe having a conversation about them. They're those big ideas. So a symbol is going to be something that means something bigger than itself. Okay? If you're unsure about that, maybe you want to write this definition down. What questions do you have about symbolism? Symbol is something that means or stands for something bigger than itself. Things that we want to look for if we're trying to figure out if a symbol really exists.
Things that relate to.
Okay, sure, you want to be looking for connections.
Things that's repeated.
Good. Huge, very important thing. Repetition. Okay? So this is an important list right over here. If something keeps getting repeated, it probably means something. Okay? The author or the movie producer is probably doing that for a reason. Repeating that same image over and over again, or having the same object appear over and over again. So we want to look for repetition. What else do we want to look for?
Basically everything you just said.
Okay, right, so we have a big clue over here. Colors are a really good example of something that can be a symbol, and we do want to pay attention to colors. That's really good. You do want to pay attention to colors. For example, the color white, we talked about that. What could white be a symbol for? Purity. Good. We're going to add anything else?
Yeah, I want to say that.
Purity. Purity is one of those more abstract, big ideas. White could be a symbol of purity. Okay, so as you can see, they're up here. The title of the text is important. What was the title of the poem that Tupac wrote? The rose that grew from concrete. And what was a symbol in that poem? And right, and growing despite coming from concrete. Okay, so the title was a clue there. The title, detailed description, and underlying meaning of text. Underlying meaning of text. These are 4 things that'll help us figure out if something's a symbol or if a symbol exists. Now, Smiley, you asked about what the literary definition of theme was, right? I'm going to go into more detail on it later, but it's basically right here. The theme is the underlying meaning of the text. Okay, so one final thing before you guys work together on this essay again. Let's say we found a symbol, okay? We read the poem, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. We realized that a symbol was there. How do we figure out what this symbol means? There's a couple steps we can go through, a process. How do we figure out what a symbol means? What's the first? Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Okay, you want to look for those details, and once we found our details, what's the first thing we want to do to figure out what a symbol means? Someone besides Smiley, it's right on the board. Find the underlying meaning. And what's another name for the underlying meaning? Theme. Good. What's the second thing we should do? Charnice, what's the second thing we should do after we find the theme? What's number 2? Find the characteristics of that symbol, okay? Let's say we figured out the rose was a symbol in that poem we read. We know that a rose is what? How would we describe a rose? Red, has color. Most people say roses are beautiful or ugly. Beautiful. Some people say they smell good. They grow. Some people think they stink. They're not the best smelling things. It's all about opinion. That's true. It's all about opinion. Personal experience. Okay. I hear you. And once you figure out the characteristics of the symbol, what do you want to do? Final thing. Connect the characteristics with the meaning, okay? Put these 2 things together. Okay? Because if we know from that poem, if a rose is something that grows and it's something beautiful, and we know that that poem was about, growing up and making it despite tough circumstances, we can put the 2 together and realize that the rose stands for that type of person. Okay? what questions do you have about symbolism? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if you open up this packet where you wrote the learning targets, everyone sees it, it says at the top, when the trees stop giving fruit. Okay, so we read this together last class. Those of you here, we read it last class. It's a short essay by a man named Kohl. What do you guys remember about that man from what we talked about?
Remember about the story?
The guy who wrote it.
He was in jail.
He's
for
from Detroit.
30 years.
He was in prison for like 20 to 30 years.
And he got he works in the college now as a professor.
Okay, he's a professor now at U of M, but he was in prison for about 20 to 30 years and he's from Detroit. Okay? So we talked about summary and main idea and theme a little bit. But based on what I took away from that conversation, I came up with a more clear way for you to understand the ideas that were going around the room. Okay? You see how there's 6 questions, I believe, on that piece of paper? 6 questions. I want you to work on questions 1 through 5. I believe it's 1 through 5. With the people at your table, other person at your table, however many of you there are. Okay, work on questions 1 through 5. And then we're going to stop, come back together, and then you'll keep going. Okay, so for now, work on questions 1 through 5. This is on that essay when the trees stop giving fruit. Okay? Take about like 5-7 minutes to do this, okay? So I'll check back in with you at 12:05. King?
Want to say something to the camera?
Are you gonna come over? Is we ready today?
I don't problem teaching it. I just keep on closing my work.
We're gonna read tomorrow. But I'm introducing Thursday. Okay, finish up what you're writing. We're going to move on. If you are not yet done with 1 through 5, you can finish it up after we come back together right now. Okay? Questions 1 through 4. Those questions are to help us come up with a summary. Okay? A summary is what? If I'm writing a summary, I'm writing about what? Details on what happened. Okay? So questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 are designed to help you just think about what happened in this essay, okay? So what I want you to do on your paper right now, circle the 1, 2, 3, 4, and write summary. Make a note that those questions are questions designed to help you, on the other side, get your summary. Just review and remember what happened. 1, 2, 3, 4, our summary. So what did happen? What were the changes that this neighborhood saw? Yeah, go ahead.
It went from a good neighborhood where everything was safe to a bad neighborhood where everything was violent.
Okay, good. Everyone gets that, right? We talked about that last class. Those were the changes that the neighborhood saw. Okay? What were the 2 things that caused those changes?
People losing their jobs and drugs.
Okay, people lost their jobs. Why did people lose jobs?
Because the factories moved out.
Factories moved out. Okay? Remember we talked about, we probably all have maybe a relative or just know of someone who maybe was affected by this back in the 80s. When auto factories relocated, a lot of people in cities like Detroit, cities like Cleveland, lost jobs. Okay? And then the second thing, exactly like Kayla said, was the arrival of crack cocaine. Okay? How was it, what was worse about those 2 things happening at the same time?
Because people are depressed.
Okay, people were depressed and stressed because why? They lost their jobs. And what do people do when they're stressed out and depressed and feeling desperate? Question number 5. we're moving from the summary to something called the main idea. How is the summary different from the main idea? It's about, if you had to come up with one sentence, what would you say? This essay is about what?
Neighborhood changing from good to bad because of drugs and job loss.
Okay, a neighborhood changing from good to bad. Anything else? Changes over time. It's using our summary and main idea, we're going to come up with the theme. The theme is different from the main idea because it gets just deeper into, and it's not one word, it's one sentence, it's going to get deeper into the purpose of and the meaning of the story. It's the underlying meaning of the text. Okay? Circle number 6 and write theme by it. Number 6 is us coming up with the theme. I want you guys to work with each other to come up with the response to number 6. You're going to choose one of these 4 words or terms. I think we're on track with these, that these 4 terms sum up what the essay is about. Plug one of these into that blank line. Go ahead and do that right now. Choose one of these words that you feel like, to you, the essay was really about this. And write it in that blank line. It's about a neighborhood, it's about changes, it's about community. What do you think that the author, Shaka Senghor, what does he believe about this thing that you wrote? What is he trying to teach us as his readers about one of these things? Now this is going to be the hard part, but I want you to expand your thinking beyond just this essay. Okay? I want you to think on a bigger level. Think about life in general. Okay? We're not just thinking about we're not just thinking about community changes in neighborhood in terms of his neighborhood only, but now we're opening up and thinking about these things on a broader, worldly scale. Okay? So what is Shaka Senghor trying to teach his readers about, like, a neighborhood? How a neighborhood might function or work? Or what is he trying to teach us about change? Changes. Whatever you feel like to you this essay is truly about. Okay? So, this is difficult. We're probably not going to get it right on the first try. I have to do this work too over and over again to really come up with a true theme. And I want you to, for number 6, think about what does the author, Shaka Senghor, believe about this topic that you choose. What questions do you have about that? Does anyone have any questions? For number 6. Someone tell me, what are you supposed to do for number 6?
We gotta pick what I know for it.
Okay.
And then say why I think the author said that in the story.
Say what he believes to be true about it. What he's trying to teach us about it.